serious, what is the creepiest mystery/rabbit hole you have stumbled upon on the internet? Green children of Woolpit. Two kids randomly showed up out of nowhere in a village called Woolpit in England. Both the children were green and spoke an unknown language. Their skin lost its green color soon after and they only ate beans. One of the kids died from an illness and the other grew up and learned to speak English. She said she was from a different planet made up of green people. Anyways, this happened in the 12th century and many don't think it actually happened. The FNAF Fantasy House, Timecube, Yvette's Bridal Forum, etc. One time my friend called the Timecube guy when he was still alive. A YouTuber named Frederick Knudsen does really great videos on this subject. I like going down the wiki hole personally though. So far the Guara Piranha mutilation is the only case that really creeped me out. Sadly enough the sources in English are very few and all scream of aliens. Wish I could read Portuguese and read the police report. The pictures of the corpse still haunts me. Not creepy maybe but very curious and weird, that story about some person called Scribe who pretended to be several people in some Harry Potter forums just to create drama. I suppose the level of commitment and the depth of the web she spun makes it a bit creepy. I always wondered what went on in that mind. There's a YouTuber called Katy Up and all her videos are ASMR of her eating seafood. There are several theories that she is kidnapped or suffering some sort of violence because of hints in her videos. Some of her captions had hidden messages like help or so's and she has made videos with bruises on her arms. Also, she made a video where she ate 12 honeycombs. Someone could be forcing her to eat these large and unhealthy amounts of food. The whole channel is honestly just scary. A few years ago I read about the FBI or CIA releasing some documents and decided to go and read a few. Found some from a couple of decades ago, I believe the 1970s. Anyway, there were some documents about mutilated cattle in some Midwestern and Western states. Genitalia cut, tongues removed, organs missing, etc. Clearly not wolves. I don't know if they found out what it was, I didn't read all of them, but definitely an interesting read. Trepanning, it's literally drilling a hole in your head. I remember getting far enough down that rabbit hole, out of curiosity only, and reading some people's instructional guides on how to do it safely. Some people say they get high from it, others say they do it for some spiritual/transcendent feeling of relief. But drilling a hole in your own head is actually a thing some people do. For a more lighthearted but still incredibly weird story, try looking up some things about the Wonder Bread guy. DeviantArt and Tumblr are probably your best sources. It made me laugh out loud multiple times, despite it being really odd. Two piqued my interest, one from years ago about a man that left instructions in an Australian restaurant on how to build a time machine. I think he claimed people were after him? I've not been able to source it since. The other is John Titor, apparently sent back in time to retrieve a rare IBM part to kickstart computers again. He purported the many universes theory and seemed to know his stuff. Lots can be found on him. Also, if you fancy the far out, bedtime stories on YouTube is well worth listening to. And David Pauline missing, 411 interviews are eerie AF. Pizzagate, a lot of people in my social circle back then were into it. I was in some pretty lousy social circles if that wasn't a big enough hint, and I just sat back and watched these people drive themselves nuts trying to prove that a pizza joint had a child sex trafficking dungeon in the basement. It stopped being funny when somebody actually showed up at the place with a gun demanding that the children be released, or something like that. The entire story and all the stuff online about Flight M370, kinda creeps me out. While I believe the Twitter thing that happened some time after, with a guy receiving a message from, what was assumed to be, the black box from Flight M370, was debunked as fake, there's still some very interesting proof and theories about this mystery. And I think stuff like the Bermuda Triangle have always been really interesting. CIA and projects of remote viewing. You don't keep a project for years without results. Stuff like MKUltra and Bush's war criminal torture camps. You can't tell me the CIA and FBI don't know something paradigm changing that they keep from us. Bob Lazar and everything he came out with. That one super secret clearance high up Joint Chief of Staff who called a government agency, I believe National Reconnaissance Agency? Saying I wanted to be brief on what you do, essentially no one here knows, and they said to this powerful man, we know who you are and if you needed to know something we'll tell you. There is surely a load of world-changing, life-changing information and techniques that could put us in a new age that are locked away under the keeping of 100 men. Initially I was a little creeped out by the whole cicada thing. For those who are not familiar, Cicada 3301 is this mysterious contest that has been put out over the World Wide Web. It appears to have origins in the dark web, and up until recent years its general nature and origin have been largely unknown. I found it both intriguing and a little creepy. I know someone has already said this, but alayhi salam. But more broadly, the entire Hotel Cecil, where she was staying, has got a serious creep factor to its history. The Black Dahlia, the Night Stalker, Unterweger, Night Stalker copycat? Multiple suicides/murder-suicides, some under their own mysterious circumstances, all have connections to Hotel Cecil. To be honest, as a non-American, for me it was the 9/11 conspiracy theory and all the evidence that it was an inside job, memes aside. There seems to be so much to this event that points to it being fabricated. The same goes for the JFK assassination. Finding my writing on the internet and noticing how it was related to information that could only be obtained if you were looking at my credit card statements or my ex's laptop. It's a rabbit hole because it leads to corporate pettiness and an endless parade of sadistic and patronizing comments. It would be nice to see a villain at the end of a search and strangle them to death, but I guess I'll settle for blaming myself and taking responsibility for expressing hatred online. I don't know if it's a well-known phenomena, but the Russian sleep experiment is a real horrifying story. I'll try my best to tell what it is, but there is a creepypasta on it. The Russian sleep experiment is an experiment where 4 prisoners were put on a gas supposed to make them not have to sleep. They were told if they didn't sleep for 30 days they would be set free. Around the 15th day is when the gas started affecting them mentally. After using feces and book pages to block off the surveillance window, they started violently hurting themselves and others. Of course, this is when they tried to set the prisoners free. But when told this will happen, the scientists were greeted with a bone-chilling, "We no longer wish to be set free." I might have messed up some parts, but that's their overall story. Again, there are websites, a creepypasta, and a short film all about this.